Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected Vice Chancellor of Information Technology University, Dr. Umar Saif, Chairman, Punjab Higher Education Commission, Dr. Terrorism, Nobel Laureate, Mrs. Karman, distinguished national and international speakers, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning. जहान-ए-ताज़ा की अफ़कार-ए-ताज़ा से है ये संगोखिश से होते नहीं जहाँ पैदा. New words derive their form from thoughts quite fresh and new. From stones and bricks, the world was neither built nor due. Nearly a century ago, the poet laureate Sir Muhammad Iqbal knew the real change. Actual development and sustainable progress in a society can only come through new and creative ideas. The Afkar-e-Taza Think Fest realizes the vision of Iqbal, the aspiration of Jinnah, and the hopes of millions of Pakistanis in establishing a space for creative thinking, robust discussion, and innovative ideas. The Afkar-e-Taza Think Fest 2018 will feature over 2,000 international speakers who will engage with over 60 local experts on topics ranging from the fate of Muslims in Britain to the Rohingya crisis, the situation in the Middle East, the history of Afghanistan, women and violence in South Asia, South Asian history, US-China relationships, extremism in universities, the partition of 1947, and even the upcoming 2018 elections. I'll request our honorable guests for today to please come on the stage. Dr. Yaqub Paglish, who is the host and behind this conference, Dr. Yaqub Paglish. Mr. Zahi Sarwar, Registrar, Information Technology University. Professor Dr. Umar Saif, Vice Chancellor, Information Technology University. Respected Mrs. Tawakkol Karman, the Nobel Laureate, our today's keynote speaker. Thank you all. For today's session, I'm privileged and honored to invite a man who constructed his determination with sustained efforts, controlled attention, and concentrated energy, commitment to an unrelenting pursuit of his goals, a commitment to excellence. A man whose secret of success is that he has always put his heart, his mind, his soul into his smallest to the greatest acts. Ladies and gentlemen, the visionary and zealous founding Vice Chancellor of ITU, Professor Dr. Umar Saif, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Farzana, for that, an overly generous introduction. I'm almost embarrassed. Thank you for being here. It's such an honor and a pleasure to share the stage with Nobel Laureate Tawakkol Karman, who was a catalyst for the Arab Spring. She embodies and exemplifies what leaders, members of the societies can individually accomplish in societies that are young, societies that are eager to bring about prosperity and are eager to look towards progressive thought in an evolving culture. And the goal really is to trigger discussions that are borderline provocative, discussions that make us think, and discussions that make us question. We don't do enough of that in this country. But I think this country is at a threshold where we must question. We must question our history that maybe has been rewritten a couple of times. We must question where we are going. We must question what we can do as members of academia, as members of civil society, as government, to put this country on a path of a stable, democratic, elected government, a government that represents the aspirations of people and the youth of this country, and a country that's progressive, a country that's enlightened, and a country that's not isolated from the rest of the world. Some of these things may be inherently in tension with each other, and hence, these discussions can't be superficial. These discussions can't be reduced to 140-character tweets. These discussions can't be summed up in political sloganeering. This really is profound, deep, and a delicate exercise. And I hope that we are prepared to undertake that exercise in the next 2 days. We have once again done our best to assemble who we thought could contribute to this discussion, to this narrative or this counter-narrative, God knows what it is today, and this discourse in the society. I wish you well. I hope that the discussions that are held within this room today spill over into a national discourse, into a narrative about where this country is heading, where this country should head, what the young people of this country want this country to look like, and how this country, and what this country would become 20, 30, 100, 200 years from now. That is what this discussion is about. There are several panels and great speakers, and people are still pouring in, and I hope that we'll get more and more people coming in. I know that some TV channels are covering this live, so thank you for doing that also. We've gone out of the way to discover, convince, cajole, beg people like the Nobel Laureate, Tawakkol Karman, to come to Pakistan. She really represented the hope and aspirations of the youth in Yemen, was the main catalyst behind the Arab Spring, to tell us how she was able to accomplish all of this, how she was able to inspire millions of young people in Yemen, and I think change that country for good. We also have Baroness Sayyida Warsi, who took this principled stance some time ago and resigned from her position as a cabinet member in UK. That was a very audacious decision, but a decision that I'm sure inspired and provoked many politicians worldwide to understand the context of the discussions, of the events that unfolded, that led to a radical decision like this. And I hope it inspires and educates more politicians worldwide to take such principled decisions on issues that are important for countries, for religious communities, for regional conflict. We have here the top intelligentsia of Pakistan, professors who've taught me, professors who've been my colleagues, and I look at Rasil Bakhsh when I say that, and many others in this room. I look at Professor Akmal Hussain, people who have had the honor of being taught as an undergrad, as a grad student. I'm much younger than them. But it's a real privilege to be able to bring all such people to a conference like this. I hope we start a tradition today, a tradition that outlives all of us, that this happens year after year, and many such other activities also begin to take place throughout the country. But you are the custodians for a narrative, for a discourse that would determine, hopefully, where this country needs to go to. Because you have the intellect, you have the profound understanding, and you have the eloquence to articulate where this country needs to go. I hope we start a tradition here today. We started this last year. This is a much bigger event today, and I hope that we continue to do more of this throughout the country. I wish you well, and I thank all of you for being here. It really is an honor and privilege to be in the company of so many great speakers, thinkers, intellectuals, academics. It really is a pleasure to be here. And I hope that you have a provocative, deep, profound discussion around topics that are of critical importance to this country today. I leave you here. I have to go back to the drudge of the bureaucratic job that I have, but I'm sure that important discussions will ensue here. I'll come back in a couple of hours and join you again. Thank you for coming down to Pakistan. Thank you for coming down to Pakistan again, and thank you to everyone who is participating in this important event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Umar Saif. A journalist by profession and human rights activist by nature, Tawakkol responded to the political instability and human rights abuse in Yemen by mobilizing others and reporting on injustices. In 2005, she founded the organization Women Journalists Without Chains, which advocates for rights and freedom and provides media skills to journalists. In addition, the organization produces regular reports on human rights abuse in Yemen, documenting more than 50 cases of attacks and unfair stances against newspapers and writers to date. Tawakkol even brought Yemen's revolution to the New York, speaking directly with UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and organizing rallies at the UN headquarters. Bold and outspoken, Tawakkol has been imprisoned on a number of occasions for her pro-democracy, pro-human rights protests. Amongst Yemen's opposition movement, she is known as Mother of the Revolution and the Iron Woman. Fiercely committed to change, Tawakkol spends the majority of her time in a tent in Change Square, where she continues her peaceful protests for justice and freedom. The Mother of the Revolution, and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2011 in recognition of her work in non-violent struggle for the safety of women and for women's rights to full participation in peace-building work in Yemen. Upon being awarded Nobel Prize, Tawakkol became the first Yemeni, the first Arab woman, and the second Muslim woman to win a Nobel Prize, as well as the youngest Nobel Peace Laureate at the time, at the age of 32. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker in Afkar-e-Taza's inaugural session is Mrs. Tawakkol Karman.
Assalamu alaikum. I am so happy to be here, so honored. It's my second time in Pakistan and my first time in Lahore. I heard that who never visited Lahore, he didn't born. So I decided to reborn again, so I came. I am happy to visit the city of culture, the city of history, the city of beauty. I am so happy that I saw the Mughal places here. I'm so happy that I saw the beautiful rivers, beautiful flowers, very old and very rich historic places. So thank you, Lahore, for giving us all of that. I am so honored to be here at the place who our Allama Iqbal is sleeping. Allama Iqbal, who gave us a lot. I am so honored to be here, and God bless him. Dear sisters and brothers, today, and I'm so honored to be here with my sister, Sayyida, and thank you for giving me this chance. I was looking for her many times. I'm so proud of you, my sister, Sayyida. I'm so proud of all of you, sisters, brothers, doctors, Professor Francis. I was looking for him. Really, you don't know how I'm looking for him, but yesterday I met him here in Lahore for second time. So thank you again for giving me this chance. Hello, Professor. Dear sisters and brothers, today I stand before you at this defining moment of history, when values of coexistence, community, democracy, and human rights are under threat. These are values that humanity has longed for centuries, until they were codified as rights in charters and constitutions in the first half of the past century, following 2 bloody world wars that claimed the lives of millions of people. Today, racism, hatred, and extreme ethnic conflicts are re-emerging among a wave of terrorism that is sweeping the globe, as if the world has forgotten past suffering and its judgment to distinguish between right and wrong. In the Arab region, the picture is much more complicated. In the post-Arab Spring era, counter-revolutions following the Arab Spring are backed with international support to crush people's dream for freedom, justice, and democracy. Dear sisters and brothers, it's a universal responsibility to uphold people's right to elect their leaders and hold them accountable, to involve the people in the political process as full equal citizenship, who have rights and duties, embedded in the constitutions, to build bridges and coalition between different countries, cultures, religions, sects, gender, and ethnicities. This is something that concerns humanity as a whole, not only the Arab world. As the famous saying goes, tyranny anywhere is a threat to a freedom everywhere. Arab people are facing counter-revolution, threatening them with a darker future of dictatorial system. This threatens to destabilize the entire world and push us all back into darkness and violence. This is why understanding the political struggle in the other part of the world is no longer a choice. Pakistan, which is my second country. In my first visit to Pakistan, they named me as the daughter of Pakistan, so I am so honored of that. So, Pakistan Zindabad. Say it after me. Pakistan Zindabad. Why? Where is your voice? Pakistan Zindabad. Pakistan Zindabad. Okay. Again, sisters and brothers, about nearly 7 years ago, peoples of the Arab Spring countries went out peacefully with their free will. They gathered in public squares, change squares, freedom squares, to put an end to seemingly endless despotism, internal presidents, and hereditary republics. and starting a new state with the principles of democracy, freedom, justice, equality, rule of law. A new state that will be transformed from being a tool of oppression that kills people and their dreams to a home where every citizen has a place, to a home where every idea can be expressed and every dream can be fulfilled. Listen, who doesn't know about Arab Spring revolutions? Our revolutions were not fleeting whims, but rather they are desperate needs which we yearned of years, but were denied and crushed by tyrannies. This cry for justice was the inevitable response to the decade of injustice, poverty, ignorance, disease, to the decades of corruption, repression, and state failure. Today, we are asked to make a false choice between terrorism or democracy. Between terrorism or dictatorism. This is the false choice that they want to put us between. They ask us to choose between terrorism or despotism, but under the manner of war on terror, under the banner of war on terror, they seek to revive or recreate the collapsed dictatorships through fueling coups, wars, and sectarian militias. But we choose another thing, another choice. We choose freedom, democracy, and rule of law. This is our choice. We will not accept their choices. Tyranny will end, and terrorism also will end. The only thing that will last, the only thing that will start and last is our will and our victory to build our countries to be a democratic countries, free countries. Failing regimes always exploit extremism and terrorism. They have derived international backing by claiming to fight extremist and terrorist groups. They claim that Arab Spring has caused terrorism. This is ridiculous. On the contrary, the Arab Spring has exposed how dictators use terrorism to tighten their grip over power and crush demands for democracy and human rights. They always threaten that the alternative is terrorism. Let me make this very clear to all of you. Terrorism is not part of the Arab Spring or its ideas. The Arab Spring aspires for human dignity, justice, equality, and civil and political freedom, and the rule of law. The means to achieve that were peaceful, and people were willing to give the ultimate peaceful sacrifice. Therefore, the Arab Spring is, and always oppose the terrorism because of a fundamental clash of values, goals, and ideology. When we initiated our peaceful struggle and overthrew the heads of despotic, corrupted, and failing regimes such as Ben Ali in Tunis, Mubarak in Egypt, Al-Qaddafi in Libya, Ali Abdullah Saleh in Yemen, we inspired our people and offered a viable alternative to terrorism narrative. And through our struggle, we convinced the people with this very important result. With non-violence, the journey to freedom is less bloody and more guaranteed. With non-violence, the journey to freedom is less bloody and more guaranteed. This lesson almost silenced the terrorism, ideologically and in a practice way. And this is what we witnessed in the first year of Arab Spring. There was not even one terrorist attack in our countries, especially in my country, Yemen. One terrorist attack, there wasn't in 2011 and 2012, because the voice of peaceful movement was louder than any other voice. So let me ask this question. Who is responsible for terrorism? Don't you see terrorism has become more of a brand? Who is fostering and marketing it? There is an obvious link between the betrayal of the peaceful Arab Spring on the one hand and the expansion of terrorist groups on the other. When you establish despotism, you establish terrorism. When you establish despotism, you establish terrorism. Despotism and terrorism are two faces of one coin. Despotism and terrorism foster one another. Look what happened in Syria, in Egypt. The world's indifference to the military coup in Egypt and Bashar's brutal suppression to the Syrian revolution have fulfilled terrorism. The Syrian regime's slogan was Al-Assad أو نحرق البلد. Al-Assad or we will burn down the country. And that is what they did, unfortunately. Yet the international community was absent in front of all the crimes of Bashar. The silence has given him the permission to inflict brutality on his own people. The international community betrayed and conspired against the Syrian people. Peaceful revolution. That is what brought terrorism and violence to the country. People in Syria are now facing two ugly wars: war of Bashar and war of Daesh, of ISIS. We as Muslims facing the same war. The war of ISIS that used our religion to kill, and that also has a link with those dictators. As I said, every dictator is a terrorist, and every terrorist is a dictator. Western catastrophic failure in Iraq and Afghanistan makes all this chaos and create the terrorists. Western catastrophic failure in Iraq, Afghanistan, and disastrous invasion have fueled sectarian division and civil war. It left countries vulnerable to sectarian militia. This created conditions for the cancer of ISIS or other terrorist group to develop and spread. Again, by supporting tyrannies and sustaining them with all means and tools of oppression, Daesh and other terrorist group has come to life. So the biggest favors the world could provide to terrorism are probing or supporting despotism, blocking the means of peaceful change, failing to support moderate religious groups, and dealing with all as one size fits all. There is another reason for terrorism, and we as a Muslim should see to this reason in a very serious way, which is misunderstanding our great religion. And let the bad people to translate it for us. The people who love killing and translate it to the killers. So we need really for religious reform to show how our great religion is peaceful and against all the violence and all the terrorist ideology. Dear sisters and brothers, seeing to the situation in Egypt, Yemen, Syria, Libya, and Tunis, unfortunately, might be next. The same thing with Iraq and Afghanistan makes me feel that they, and when I say they, some of the West countries that want us to be stranded in terrorism, despotism, corruption, and chaos. There is a very important thing that I always repeat, and I will also repeat it here. Peace within the nations is no less urgent today than peace between the nations. And the people in my country and also in my region are terrorized today by bloody, again, dictators and by the international powers that back them. And they are abused by a terrorist group that misuse and abuse our faith. Again, every dictator, especially in our region, is a terrorist, and every terrorist is a dictator. And there will no path to the holy peace we aspire for until dictators are swept away from our region and terrorists are deprived from abusing our religion. So those who ally with tyrannies regardless with their justification, are not jeopardizing values only. Rather, they undermine their country's strategic interest because tyrannies risk to the world, not only to their countries. Their risk is attack all over the world, not just to their countries. Risks created by the tyrannies are transboundary. Therefore, combating despotism is not a local affair only. It is equally an international affair. Rulers will go one day, but people will remain. They should reconcile with the people, not the rulers, with the liberators, not the oppressors. This is the only safe way. Others are mere delusions. Nonetheless, our belief in our dreams, our belief on our peaceful way to achieve our dream, our belief in our peaceful struggle is stronger. We will absolutely, we will build our new countries. We will build our countries that we aspire for. A state based on justice, freedom, democracy, tolerance, coexistence, rule of law, and love. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. There's no second opinion about what you have said. Only you have to be strong. You have to trust yourself that you can build a new country. You have to know that you have the ability to achieve your dreams. Thank you, ma'am, once again. Dr. Yaqub Bangash, may I request you to please come and for the vote of thanks?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shahid, and what a pleasure to hear from you, Mrs. Karman. Thank you very much for actually coming here. I must say that we very deliberately chose that for our first sort of slightly larger conference, that both our keynotes should be women, and most importantly, Muslim women, because that is something that the world doesn't really understand, that you can be a Muslim, and you can be a woman, and you can be very successful. And I think we really wanted to build and showcase that it is very possible. It is possible to have a very progressive and a forward-looking narrative in a Muslim culture with Muslim women. And so therefore, I'm very grateful and thankful to actually both our keynotes for coming here, especially after my badgering that please come. And again, I would like to welcome all of you who are here. You know, a lot of people, actually one of the scholars was actually telling me that, you know, in an academic conference, 25 people are quite a lot of people. And when I was up here, I was actually counting, and at that time I counted 506 people, and they are increasing now, which is quite a shock. So I'm wondering who you are and why are you here? I could be sleeping at this time. But again, thank you very, very much for coming, and I think this is a great opportunity to come and discuss. We do call it the Think Fest, but the Think Fest is a very serious thing. It is about thinking. It is about creating knowledge, discussing, questioning, and I think that's the most important thing. Unless you come, question, think, and then dialogue about it, you won't really understand anything. You won't really be able to grow. You won't be able to grasp the key ideas. So we really wanted to create a safe space where people can come together and discuss and have a dialogue in a free and a safe environment. Sadly, in our own country and of course around the world, such safe spaces no longer exist as they used to. So we really want to create a space where this is spearheaded. We also really wanted this to be focused on current issues that are relevant in Pakistan, but also around the world, because we really want this event to showcase the engagement of Pakistan with the world. A lot of people want to isolate Pakistan. We actually want to sort of, tell that, and enable the opening up of Pakistan to the world. We really want Pakistanis to interact with others. We want others to interact with us so that we can learn, they can learn, and there can be a mutual flourishing of ideas and thoughts and further development. So this is our commitment to interaction and our commitment to openness. Third, what I would want to emphasize is that this is an event where we really want universities to participate. We have partnered with several universities and also the Punjab Higher Education Commission. So thank you, Nizam Saab, for all your great help there. Because we really wanted universities to actually come in. A lot of people that actually come to similar events, are well-read and everything, but there's no interaction between academia and the public. And if you look abroad, most of the thinking that comes from academia. And the interaction of academia and the public is really the incubator for new and creative ideas. So again, as we call it Afkar-e-Taza, how are new ideas going to be created, new worlds, as Iqbal said, going to be created if there is no interaction between academia and the media. And for all the academics here, like I'm sure you know, when we hold academic conferences, we actually don't want more than 20 people there, because 30-40 log scare us and they're like, oh, bahut ho gaya, but having 400, 500 people turn up, most universities will actually probably have a heart attack. So here I actually want to thank the most important person who actually bears the heart attack, which is our registrar Zahi Sarwar, because without him, I won't be here and actually doing all of this. So actually, thank you for being a rock here, because he doesn't get scared. Most of the things he says yes. Actually, I haven't heard a no in a long time, which is a good thing, so keep it that way. So thank you very much for that. So we really want this thing to actually be an interactive space between the general public and academia, and therefore, if you actually look at all the panels, we have paired academics with public commentators, with journalists, with public intellectuals, so that a lot of the times people say, oh, that person is very dense or very hard to understand. Fine, we will make it accessible. We will bring it to you so that you can understand and then interact with them. So I think these are very important elements. Also, I think we really want to keep a space. There is a discussion later about extremism in universities. These are the things that university students should be indulging in, not sort of, extremist and exclusionary ideas. So again, we actually want to give them a space to actually say, well, now we have created a space for you where you can come and discuss no matter what idea you actually have. At some level, one needs to have a discussion on extremist ideas also, because unless you actually question them, unless you actually try to interrogate them, we won't be able to reach a better understanding of them. So these are, 3 or 4 of our sort of hopes and ideals, and we have put together, I think, a great array of people. So thank you to the nearly over 100 delegates that have come in from all over the world, from about 10 different countries. And thank you very much for actually agreeing to all my bullying and repeated emails and saying, please come or else I'll die or something. I think I did sort of threaten that somewhere in a couple of emails, that if you don't come, something bad will happen to me or something. So thank you to all the delegates who have actually come here. Thank you to all the people from the different institutions, especially who have partnered with us to come here. And I have a small list of thank yous because, of course, without the thank yous, this would not happen. I have already thanked Dr. Nizam and our registrar. Of course, great thanks is due to Dr. Umar Saif, our Vice Chancellor, because without his signatures, nothing would have happened. And most importantly, those signatures on money. So, if you hadn't paid for all those flights, you would not have been here. So that's one of the basic thank yous that one must have. And again, not many universities would even allow such a program like this to happen. So it is Dr. Saif's permission and vision that actually allows for these kinds of activities to happen. It's an IT university, but we are having a conference that is mainly focused on history and politics. So just imagine how much I would have bullied and badgered him for this. So a great thank you to Dr. Saif for enabling this to happen, giving us the opportunity to try to have an event like this in Pakistan. I also want to thank Mrs. Fazana Shahid. She's somewhere here. There we are. I call her Ammi because every time I have a problem, I just say, "Bas isko solve kar de," and I just sort of say, "Acha ye karna hai," and then she very nicely gets it done. So actually, thank you very much for all your great help and support. And I do want to thank all my colleagues at IT. All of them have been a great support. The computer science department, the engineering department, and all the other departments who are actually there and supporting us in this program. Several of our faculty members are actually speaking. Also, Dr. Khurram Bhatti, who's ended up being very useful in numerous ways, and I won't say how, but pretty useful. And all our colleagues who have come here to help. And I want to especially thank our partners. And most importantly, I want to thank our, if I can call them, I think it is justified, our title partners, Devu and Destinations Magazine. So please do give a big hand to Asma because she's simply amazing. Because if it weren't for Asma Chishti, this would not happen. We would have again had it in a small hall with about 100, 200 people. She just said, let's just try to make this big. Yes, we won't have 20,000, but even if we have 5,000, that'll be amazing. So thank you, Asma, very much for actually being the life and the heart of this endeavor. I also want to thank our other sponsors. British Council have been very helpful. In fact, they've actually sponsored the visit of Baroness Vasi. So thank you very much. And Sajad Saab, at the very last minute, again, I sort of approached you, and you've been very, very kind. And of course, you're also hosting our closing dinner. Of course, Devu Pakistan has sponsored the visit of Mrs. Karman. So thank you to Shehryar yet again for being the backbone of this project. Thank you to also the US Consul General Elizabeth Trudeau. They've again been very helpful and cooperative in sponsoring this event. I also want to thank the Fulbright program, Rita, she's somewhere here. Yes, there we are. I just sent her an email and saying, I hope this is done, and just assumed it. So thank you very much for being our partner here. Also Piano Pens, which is owned by a friend of mine, Civil. I just give him a bill and then say pay it. So thank you very much for it. JB Said, FM 91, Kareem, who are all partnering with us. Thank you very much for it. And of course, Alhamra, who actually allowed us to use their facilities. Thank you very much for allowing us to be here and hold this kind of a discussion here. In the end, I won't keep you long, but I do want to recognize my very small team. One thing which I have very quickly realized, you can't do such a big thing with 5 people. But I do have a tiny team, but I do want to recognize them. Foremost, I want to recognize Abraham Murad. He has been a backbone in organizing all of this and has actually put in a lot of effort, especially even missing Asma's dinner last night, which I think was a big mistake. But you're all here and it's all functioning, so perhaps it is due to his efforts. Also, Professor Iman Hadi, Ishtaq Ahmed, Hussain, Sarah Suhail, Dr. Hamad Lang, and all the colleagues who actually work with me, thank you very much, because it is all your effort in bringing over 100 speakers from all these diverse institutions here. So thank you very much for all your help, and thank you again for actually being here. I know we are running a slight bit late, but not that late. It is, to an extent Pakistan time, so hopefully by the next session we shall be back in time. So if I can take this opportunity to again thank Mrs. Karman for her wonderful words, and the next session will begin at 12:35. So we're only running about 15 minutes late, which is hopefully not too bad. So the next session here shall begin at 12:35. Thank you very much.
After very well-worded thanks, my very simple thanks to a great audience. Thank you very much for being here.